So here's this week's update. I have the Bear in the Log Cabin quilt on the machine right now. I've quilted 3 blocks out of 26. No. I've quilted 3 blocks out of 36, so I've got quite a way to go yet. So I've done a 12th, or is that something like 7.5%? So quite a lot to do yet, and then I've got some other pieces on the blocks that I want to quilt after I've done the main amount of quilting. Things like crosses for the window panes, and I just want to make sure that the background is okay without being quilted, because I wasn't planning on stitching on the white areas, just reasonably densely with a wood grain effect on the actual sort of wooden house parts of it. So yeah, we move house in 2 weeks, and that was the dog laying down in the sun. We move house in 2 weeks, so I want to get it done before then. I've also kind of really enjoyed making these necklaces recently. I'm putting together a really quick video sort of on how these are made, just to kind of give you an idea of what goes on sort of process wise for it, so I can add it to my Etsy shop and give people a bit more insight into what it actually involves. But I'll show you them all really. So they're made from, on my scan and cut machine, I cut the hexagons out of balsa wood, I paint the backs, and then I decoupage some fabric on there, so I can do custom ones as well with any favourite fabrics that you might have. And then I add like a gloss medium over the top, which kind of makes them 3D. I add quite a few coats. I found that if I don't add enough coats, they bend a little bit, and then they have like stress marks on them. And then I attach a bail and then a necklace. So I'll show you some of the ones I've done. So I've got, and they make them really nice and glossy too, which kind of looks neat. And they're a little tiny bit smaller than a paper hexie with a 1-inch side. So they're kind of more wearable sort of size. I don't want to make them too big. So I've got, this one's an Anna Maria Horner one. I've got the one that you just saw was one of those Rifle Paper Company prints from Cotton and Steel. I have a few of those actually. I think there's about 3. There's another Anna Maria Horner one there. I have Tula Pink's Holiday Homies, a little scrap of that from when I was making my boxes. I need to go through, at the moment I've only made these from what I have scraps of. I've got some other interesting prints in my collection that I've not cut into, so like some Tula Pinks and things like that might be quite good to do these in. This is the Dashwood print from Maury Girls by Dashwood Studios. I made a dress out of this. It didn't turn out that great, but it's still one of my favourite fabrics. I've made that one. There's some Elizabeth Hartman ones. I should have 2 of those in here. So I've got these from Rhoda Ruth by Elizabeth Hartman. These pendants as well, they're on rubber, black rubber cords, or they're on a almost like a fake leather. It's kind of a nice material. It's kind of slightly glossy. So what I've done is I've just been choosing the bail and the coloured cord, just depending on what the fabric looks like and what I think will look best. I've got the Toadstool one from Fantasia by Sarah Lawson. I have Maureen Cracknell one. There's some more Cotton and Steel. So basically I'm just fussy cutting fabrics and just decoupaging them on there. They take a couple of days really to get the right amount of layers. In fact, I might even add a couple more layers to some of these. But they're all going in my Etsy shop today, so by the time you see this video they should be in there unless they've been sold already. There's a couple of seconds on there as well, so when I was perfecting the technique, as you can see on this one actually, I painted them after I decoupaged them, so that they're a little bit more untidy around the edge, but it doesn't really affect them too much. The only thing I would recommend is not to keep them in proper direct sunlight with something leaning against them, because that might, the coating on the top might soften a little bit and indent it. But they're pretty hard wearing. You can we don't want to wear them if you were swimming or something like that, but they can get wet and they're fine. So if you want to check those out, they are in my Etsy shop and they are $10 each, and I will do custom orders too. You can just choose which cord you want, which bail you want, or you can ask me to choose it for you. and if you send me the scrap of fabric, they'll be exactly the same price. So yeah, that's those. And they take about 3 days to do. If you are doing a custom order, once I've received the piece of fabric, and I only need like a 2-inch square to work with. As long as it's got the piece of the design that you want in there, I can do it from that. Because I think from point to point they're about 1 3/4 inches wide, so that just gives me a tiny little bit of extra. In other news, I have had my Spoonflower sample finally sent to me, so I can put these prints now up for sale in my shop. They're all a little bit too big, so I've shrunk all of these down since receiving this. But I now have in my Spoonflower shop, I have this Cardinals print. I have 3 colourways of seals and sea lions. So there's a pink one, a blue one, and a yellow one, and they're smaller than they look here. Same with the Cardinals, I've shrunk them down so they're a little bit more quilt friendly. Same with this Dahlia print, which actually was in my shop already, but I've just revised it to be a bit smaller. And I just needed to fill this. It's one of the filler yards that Spoonflower do. So by choosing this print, it meant that I wasn't getting too much of everything else, and that I had something fun to work with, so I could make that into a purse or something. I'm not quite sure what my plan was when I ordered it. It's been quite a while since I ordered it. I'm not sure whether it's Canada Post, so it probably is Canada Post. They seem to be really, really slow right now, so everything's taking forever to get here, and I've been waiting for some magazines from my grandma for about 2 or 3 months now, and they're still not here, and we move soon, so I'm hoping they won't be much longer. And then I've got this blender, this Hexies blender. So I've got 3 colours, I've just kind of got them printed in 2 places on this. And I've shrunk these right down too, so they're not as big as this, but I've kept the colours exactly the same because I'm happy with the colour combinations, and I thought they would just make a nice kind of blender. If you aren't sure what the repeat looks like, you can actually, if you try and imagine this in black and white, this actually is correct. This sort of bleeds into the next one, into the next one, into the next one, but where I don't know whether you can see, where it cuts off on one colour, the repeat then starts again on the next colour, so you can, the actual pattern is exactly as it would be if you were getting a large piece of that print. So they're in my Spoonflower shop right now, so if you search for PennyDog on Spoonflower, or you click the link on my blog, that'll take you to the Spoonflower shop. I might not be designing any new ones for a little while now. I did have some ideas, but I've just got so much to do and not enough time to do it in, so that's kind of taken a back seat really. I'm just glad that I've got a new 3, 6, 7 patterns in my shop, so that's something. I have an English paper piecing class next week, I think. I don't think it's been cancelled. Last time I checked there was only 1 person in it, so I think we must have had more people sign up since then. But my other class, which we did, I want to say 2 weeks ago now, I think I had a week off last week, is the Quilt As You Go Venti tote bag, and we had a full class. And the second part of the class is actually the night before we move, so we get the keys the following day for the new house, so we'll have packed everything away that day. I'm off work that day and got it all in a U-Haul van, and then I'm going to make sure that this stuff here doesn't end up in the back of the U-Haul van, and I'm going to make my way down to the shop and teach the second half of the class, which will be putting it together. So we did the Quilt As You Go part. I'm just going to move this out of the way. So I still have some homework to do. This is one side of the bag, which we then cut into the right shape in the class, but I need to do another side. So my Peltex arrived yesterday because it's been really hard to get 71F anywhere in Calgary right now. A lot of the shops have sold out of it, or they've only got the double-sided, or which would work actually for this, or they've only got the sew-in type, and I really wanted the fusible because the way we put it together is we will fuse the lining to the back side of the quilted panel. So I do have to make another one of these. I don't like having to switch projects on my machine though, so I really need to get a move on with the Bear in the Log Cabin so that I can switch this out onto the machine. So I've got about 2 weeks to do this, but if we're packing and buying furniture, which we've been doing pretty much every night this week, I've hardly been home. Hank has been sad because he's felt neglected because Alex has been out at work for like 11 or 12 hours a day, and then we go straight back out again and we go shopping, and yeah, so I've been feeling a little bit guilty about leaving him at home on his own so much. So the plan is to do a lot more quilting, to try and stay at home a bit more, get my homework done, do a little bit of gentle packing over the next couple of weeks because we really don't have that much stuff, and then we should be done, hopefully. And then I've got a week off to unpack, to build IKEA bookcases, to generally see what else needs doing in our new house, get the boiler inspector, the furnace inspector man out to just make sure that that's running okay because it's quite an old furnace that's in there, and all of that stuff. So yeah, home inspection went well, but there's a couple of things we might want to sort out, but not major things. So I should probably switch this off now and actually get some sewing done.